Hi, Dawn Stensland-Menti, and welcome to the Dawn Show. You know, I want to talk about what is causing you pain, what's hurting you, and how that's manifesting physically and emotionally in your body, which brings us to our first guest, Dr. Serena Sterling, who is an NET specialist, that's neuro-emotional technique practitioner from the Healing Arts of Philadelphia. I feel like it's a gift to have you here, Dr. Sterling.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, first of all, what is NET?
So NET stands for Neuro-Emotional Technique. It's a mind-body stress reduction modality that helps to pinpoint and identify the root cause of whatever is causing someone to feel either chronic pain or acute pain or an injury or different emotional issues. We just go right to the issue at hand.
And so it's not reflexology, it's not acupuncture, it's not hypnotism.
No.
Okay.
No.
And we're going to do some demonstrations and have some of your patients who adore you and really went to many other doctors and were told, no, just deal with it, take a pill and deal with it. And that's really, I imagine, the bulk of your patients are people who've gone the traditional route, they've gone to the doctor or many doctors, right? And they've been told, take a pill, oh, it didn't work, we'll live with it.
Take a pill, or it's all in your head, or there's just nothing more we can do. I'm kind of like the last resort. At least I'll try Dr. Sterling. And this NET I've never heard of, there's nothing to lose, really.
And so for you, your journey with this, even though I know that you had heard of this and when you were in college and so on, but it was 9/11. It was the tragedy and the stress of 9/11. You were there blocks away.
Right.
Take me back and tell me the story of how 9/11 brought you to where you are today.
Well, so I was working at a magazine called Spirituality and Health, and it's located 2 blocks from where the World Trade Center was. And I got stuck in the subway at Wall Street that day, 9/11. And after that event happened, I became extremely tired. And I went to my medical doctor. He told me I had chronic fatigue, which was also exacerbated by PTSD. And he just told me that there's really nothing that I could do about it, that I would just have to learn how to manage it. But I was sleeping. When I wasn't working, I was sleeping. It was just becoming debilitating, and I knew there was something else out there. And I had been introduced to NET in college, and so I found Dr. Linda Randazzo in New York City, who did some NET with me, and within a few weeks, I was all better when my doctor told me I had to live with it.
What did your doctor then say when you went back and said, I tried this more holistic treatment, which is not a Western medicine kind of a thing, and what was the reaction from your doctor?
Well, he was kind of like, well, that's great. And he actually was this was like a year later, and he had a tattoo actually on his leg, and he was going into reflexology himself. So it was really odd that I had found this doctor that was really open to it. He thought it was great, but he didn't, he took down her number, but I'm not sure he pursued learning more about it.
I mean, and we should say that PTSD is post-traumatic stress disorder.
Right.
And because a lot of people, and that really can cover the gamut. For you obviously, and many people who were there at ground zero certainly suffered that. But I know my sister, when she went through divorce years ago, was diagnosed with that. So it can, in other words, you can treat a variety of people for depression issues, or right. I mean, the gamut is pretty wide here.
So yes, people can develop PTSD in so many situations. People who have gone to war, people who have seen something like 9/11, people who have lost a loved one or gone through a divorce, like major life crises will cause people to have PTSD.
And so when people come to the Healing Arts Center, in other words, if you had somebody who came to you and then you realized, no, this person actually has a physiological back problem, you can actually refer them to other. Not everybody is an NET candidate, in other words.
There are certain people that are not appropriate for NET. Some people who have what we would call access to disorders, or like schizophrenia or things like that, they're not really appropriate. They need to have like a very strong ego base for NET. But there are also people who just aren't open to it or have too many defenses coming up. But if someone comes to me with acute back pain, it would be great if they see a medical doctor first, rule some things out, but I can also see if there are emotions that are getting in the way. If we clear some of those emotions, then they may be more apt to get better treatment from their chiropractor or their personal or physical therapist.
So in other words, you could work in tandem even if somebody was going through cancer and they were going to their cancer specialist, et cetera. You would then work with them as well on the trauma and so on that adds pain and stress to their life.
Right. A lot of the emotions that happen from getting a cancer diagnosis in the first place are just very traumatic, and so helping someone kind of feel, cope with the diagnosis or move forward in life, I can certainly help them with that.
And infertility.
Yes.
Now, and I'm somebody who went through, my oldest son is a test tube baby, he's IVF, so I went through the treatments, and my husband and I always laugh because we went through HE double chopsticks. If you've been through that, going through all the infertility, which is the treatments and so on and so forth. We had Michael, then we had a gazillion miscarriages and tried and tried and tried, and then we said, that's it, glass of wine and a prayer, and along came David. And so I do believe that a lot of that kind of stuff can be caused by the stress factor.
Oh, sure, definitely. And I definitely work with people going through the same type of emotions that may be coming up with other sorts of issues that people come to me with, and they, besides infertility, but people come to me for infertility, and we have a great acupuncturist, Steve Mavros, at the Healing Arts Center, and he does the acupuncture, and I can also look at maybe the stressors, the emotional stressors that are getting in the way, these interferences of, getting pregnant.
Well, I always love, having miracle makers like you, and I talk about my mom on the show all the time, that she's in a wheelchair. Nobody knows what she's had. She's been to every major medical institution. And I always say, Mom, stress kills you. So maybe it's stress in your life. Like maybe this is what we need to look at. But like you said, and I don't know if you're feeling like this at home, that sometimes people have to get to the point where they will say, yes, I'm open to something that's alternative, that's not the traditional, and that's the tough part. So I think that at this point, we're going to stop the conversation so that we can bring in a patient, we can show what NET is, and I hope this is amazing. It's physical, it's emotional, it's mind, body, soul, it's good stuff as the Dawn Show continues.